Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I have never been, I am not, and probably never be a supporter of socialist policies or communist ideology. Now, I understand that in a society, some social programs are needed. Why? Because they are achievers and they are non-achievers. There are people, remember, 40%, almost 40% of the population is below 86 IQ. Now, below 86 IQ, you look for that and figure out what that means. So you have to provide certain kind of, social support and social net to some groups of, how should I put it, unachievers, below achievers, no achievers. If we are to be still human. Otherwise, we're like just animals and let nature just run its course. So to that extent, I agree with some social programs, but I also am a firm believer that social programs can be done in an equitable way. That is, if I take advantage of this program here, I'm not going to be just like a tick sucking the blood of the nation. I will give back somehow. So I will design those social programs in such a way that this person will use his or her abilities, limited abilities that that person might have in order to give back, or at least to show us that it deserves some support from the rest of the society. Now, with that being said, I gotta tell you that we have groups, we have interest based on membership, based on group membership. For instance, if I am a parent, I will have definitely a different kind of interest in certain policies than a person who is, 80, has no family, or someone who doesn't have children. And vice versa. That's true, because a person without children might say, why should I pay taxes for schools when I don't have children, will never have children, and why should I pay for it? And I understand that. So it's group interest. Now, I understand, and that's bad when, not because I understand it's bad, it's bad because I understand what's going on, and I will share it with you. This society works in such a ways that makes groups of people that should work for their interest work against and support their interest. So they work against their own advantage. How is that done? Well, it tells you that some interests out there, they're very focused on defending and promoting their interest against our interest. I will give you an example. How many of you, for instance, feel sorry, very sorry about the Titanic disaster? How many? I'm guessing all of you. Now, some of you will feel very empathetic about those people who died, perished in that maritime accident, disaster, correct? Correct. Now, do you know any other disaster greater than the Titanic? So why do you feel, empathy towards the Titanic? Because of the number of the people that perished, because of the name of the ship, because of the year, because of the temperature, because of the iceberg, because of the what? What exactly? Because of the kind of people who died, perished in that? Why do you feel empathetic? Obviously, you feel empathetic because of the loss of life of people that were just, how they call it, powerless. That's why you care. Well, there were some people over there, can you imagine, in the middle of the ship, of the ocean, they just, in that freezing water, just died over there in the water. That's what matters about that incident. I don't care if it was a French guy, an English guy, Romanian guy, Zimbabwean, I don't care. Do you? No, of course not. You can't say that. You can, well, I care just because they were British people or English people. You will not say that. You might feel that way, but no, that's bad, correct? To a certain extent. So you will say because people in general died, and a great number of people died, perished, correct? Correct. You will not say it because it went from, from Great Britain, sailed towards New York. It's irrelevant. If it was from Dublin going to, to Boston, Massachusetts, it wouldn't matter, correct? It wouldn't matter if the ship would have be called instead of Titanic, bubonic. It wouldn't matter, correct? Correct. It wouldn't matter if it was, let's say, 5 people dying or 1,000 people? Of course it matters. So the number matters. So if 5 people would have perished in that accident, you probably would not hear much about that. But if 1,000 and some people died over there, that's the problem, right? Correct. So it's the number. Now, do you know any other maritime disasters that would be, I don't know, comparable with the Titanic disaster? I give you 1 second. No, you don't. And if you do, congratulations. Now, I will show you another disaster, maritime disaster, that dwarfs, makes it like a midget, the Titanic. Why don't we hear about it? Human being died, about 9,500 of them. 9,500. I think the Titanic died 1,000 people or so. So if it's about empathy, your empathy should increase tenfold. Will it? Guess what? They were Germans. Would it matter? We said no, because if it would matter, that would make you a bad person, because you care about human life. You don't care about German's life, or French life, or Jewish life, or Romanian life, or Zimbabwean life. Correct? Correct. So let me show you how these guys make you cry every time you see Titanic movie made. But you'd never hear about the, Wilhelm Gustloff. You would never hear about that incident. Why? Maybe because they were Germans, and that should make you look deeper into your character and see, why don't I feel empathy towards those guys? And the other question should be, why there were not movies made on that by Hollywood? I don't know, every 5 years or so. Well, let me show you. I will start with Titanic, all right, because it's easier. Here, the Titanic. Titanic was a British passenger and mail carrier ocean liner, all right? So it was in 1912, and they died how many? About 1,500 people. That's bad, isn't it? Very bad, very bad. 1,500, okay. Now let's go to this little article from the Smithsonian, and I have 3 articles to show you. The deadliest disaster at sea killed thousands, yet its story is little known. Why? Well, you look inside your heart and you look at Hollywood and you can figure out why. Now, in the final months of the World War II, 75 years ago, German citizens and soldiers fleeing the Soviet army died when Wilhelm Gustloff sank. Right? This is the liner over there. This was overloaded with, how do you call those, wounded soldiers, civilians, and a submarine, Soviet submarine, with a Romanian sounding name of the captain, sank it in the Baltic Sea, leaving Danzig. What's going on here, baby doll? Stay there. Yeah, keep working. Oh, yeah. Ow, ow. Okay, so let's move on. So we see this right here. By the time Soviet Union advanced on Germany's Eastern Front in January 1945, it was clear that the advance in World War II was with the Allies. Anyway, the thing is, the Soviets knew this was a passenger liner. Yeah, it had some soldiers in it and some wounded individuals. POWs, no. So we have here the death toll from its sinking numbered in the thousands. Some put it as high as now 9,000, far eclipsing those of the Titanic and Lusitania combined. So what could it be? So 9 times more than the Titanic, about, right? 1,500, about these guys. Some say 10,000 people. That's why I said, all right, about 10 times 9. It still dwarfs the 1,500, correct? Correct. Now let's move. Wilhelm Gustloff. And we have here, they say here, by one estimate, 9,500 people, making it the largest loss of life in a single ship sinking in history. Remember, that dwarfs the Titanic. Now, I want to ask you something else. Why do we know about the Titanic and we don't know about the Wilhelm Gustloff? Gustloff, whatever his name is. I always have a Gustloff. Why? Why is the Hollywood making that? Is it because it's Germans? Is it because it's Brits? Because why? Or because human lives? Now, that's for you to answer that question on your own. Another thing, I'll give you another example. Why do I say this works against our interest? You can say it was poor people on the Titanic. There were some rich people. There were no rich people in Gustloff. Maybe is that one of the reasons why we know about the Titanic and we don't know about the Gustloff? Because of the wrong people died and pff, is that why? Remember, if you say that, you're bad, because you should care for all human lives. They're all equal. All lives matter, remember? So that's one. The other one, let me tell you about the dynasties and monarchies. Why are you so fond, or some are fond about, oh, that's the dynasty, that's the English monarchs on monarchy. Why do you care? Do you know how the monarchies started? Do you know what the monarchy is? All right, the monarchy started with the biggest criminal in town. That's how they started. The biggest criminal in town fucked everybody else and got their land. Okay? And after they got their land, he hired people to make sure those guys work for them. That's how it started. And the biggest criminal got the biggest land, and they got the biggest mercenaries, and he's got the bigger property. And it maintained it with force. It was collecting the taxes from the guys by force. Now that's how the monarchs became monarchs. So when you look at Queen Elizabeth, or my darling queen, future queen, what's her name? Kate Middleton, which I like very much, the way she behaves with grace and nobility. I like that, versus the other piece of garbage. You know who I'm talking about, right? Right, the victim, the not eternal victim. She's not an eternal victim. Eternal victims are other people. All right, so we have that one. Why is this? Oh, you are made to worship that monarchy. Now you can do it, but imagine that works against you. They are your bosses. There are guys in charge of you, however you want to turn it. You are their subjects. Why? Why would you want to be someone else's subject? Why want to be a servant? I don't want to be a servant. Do you want to be? It's your choice. But I'm just saying that runs against your interest as a free person. The same with knowing about Gustloff and knowing about Titanic. And many other reasons when people fight against their own interest. Yeah, I'm okay with diversity. Why would you be okay with diversity? That diminishes your power, your recognition, your culture, and your tribe, your nation. Why would you be okay with that? For instance, why would you be okay with your child going to the bathroom and meeting over there a few guys dangling things over there? Why would you be okay with that? We are propagandized by certain interests, not our interests, but we just buy them through mass media, entertainment, politicians, schools, and so on. So go and ask yourself now, after this video, why didn't you know about the Wilhelm Gustloff? Or maybe you did. If you did, thank you very much. If you didn't, no problem. No problem. Now you know. You have no excuse right now. So when the next Titanic comes out, the movie, I expect you not to show up. All right? I expect you not to cry and not to be so empathetic and, how should I put it, destroyed by that awful incident. Awful. But think about Wilhelm Gustloff and think, why not? Why no movies about that? There is a movie made in the 50s or 60s, something, until this guy said, you know what, we're not going to make movies about those guys. Why? Because those guys we don't like. So if we don't like, you should not like them either. Why? Because they're in control of you and I. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.